The Revolutionary Army just made their biggest move yet. Luffy's father has finally stepped out of the shadows, and the world government is about to face a threat they've been hiding for over 800 years. Everything we thought we knew about the final war just changed. Welcome to One Piece Uncovered, where we break down the latest chapters, hidden details, and secrets that Oda leaves for us to find. Today we're diving deep into the newest chapter, and trust me, you're going to want to hear this. Let's start with what actually happened. The latest chapter opens with the Revolutionary Army launching simultaneous attacks on 3 different world government strongholds. We're not talking about small skirmishes here. These are coordinated strikes that show just how far Dragon's forces have come since we first heard about them back in Logetown. The chapter cuts between 3 locations. We see Sabo leading an assault on a celestial dragon compound in the East Blue. Simultaneously, other revolutionary commanders are attacking marine bases in the Grand Line. And then we get the big one. Dragon himself appears at Mary Geoise. Not near it, not approaching it. He's already there, standing in the courtyard like he owns the place. But here's where things get interesting. The chapter reveals that these attacks aren't meant to destroy anything. They're distractions. The revolutionaries are buying time for something else entirely. And that something involves a character we haven't seen in over 50 chapters. The Marines are scrambling. We see multiple admirals getting emergency calls. Kizaru is shown stopping mid-sentence during a conversation. Fujitora is already mobilizing. Even Akainu looks concerned, and that alone should tell you how serious this is. Then we get our first look at what the Straw Hats are doing during all this chaos. They're still on the island from the previous arc, but something's different. Luffy isn't charging into battle, he's listening. Robin is explaining something to him, and from the panel composition, it's clearly important. Oda draws Luffy's face in a way we rarely see. He's focused. He's understanding something. The chapter ends with a double-page spread that's going to fuel theories for months. We see a silhouette approaching the Straw Hat's ship. The figure is tall, wearing a cloak, and carrying what looks like a book or a log. The final panel zooms in on their eyes, and they're familiar. Very familiar. Now let's talk about what's actually happening here. The Revolutionary Army has been building toward this moment since the Reverie arc. Remember when Sabo infiltrated Mary Geoise and saw something that shocked the entire world? We still don't know exactly what that was. But this chapter gives us major hints. There's a panel that most people probably glossed over. It shows a revolutionary soldier carrying a stack of documents out of a burning building. Those aren't random papers. If you look closely at the Marine's reaction in the next panel, he's not just angry about the attack, he's terrified about what they're taking. This connects directly to what Vegapunk said about the truth of the world. The Revolutionary Army isn't trying to win through military might. They're trying to expose something. They're gathering evidence, and based on Dragon's dialogue in this chapter, they're almost ready to reveal it to the entire world. Dragon says something crucial. He tells his commanders that the time for shadows is ending. For over 20 years, they've been working in secret, building their forces, waiting for the right moment. That moment is now. But why now specifically? The answer lies in what's happening with the Straw Hats. Luffy has become a Yonko. He's achieved Gear 5th. More importantly, he's made allies across the entire world. Fishman Island, Dressrosa, Wano, Alabasta. Everywhere the Straw Hats go, they leave behind people who believe in them. Dragon isn't just waiting for military strength, he's been waiting for the world to be ready to listen. There's also the matter of the ancient weapons. We know Pluton is in Wano, we know Poseidon is Shirahoshi, and Uranus is still a mystery. But the Revolutionary Army's timing suggests they know something about these weapons that we don't. Multiple panels show revolutionary commanders looking at maps, pointing at specific locations. These aren't random targets, they're strategic positions related to something bigger. And then there's the elephant in the room. Dragon is at Mary Geoise, the most heavily guarded location in the entire world, the place where the celestial dragons live, where the 5 elders reside, where even Yonko don't dare attack directly. And he's just standing there. That means one of 2 things. Either he's incredibly confident in his power, or he knows something that makes him untouchable right now. My guess? It's both. Let's shift focus to the Straw Hats. This might actually be the most important part of the chapter, even though it gets less screen time. Robin is explaining something to Luffy, and the way Oda draws this conversation is deliberate. We don't hear the actual words, we only see their faces. Luffy starts confused, then surprised, then serious. That progression tells us everything. Robin is connecting dots for him. She's explaining how everything fits together. What could she be telling him? Well, we know Robin has been researching the poneglyphs. We know she's the only person alive who can read them. And we know that the poneglyphs contain information about the Void Century and the Ancient Kingdom. But there's more to it than that. Look at the panel composition. In the background, you can see Sunny's figurehead, the lion with the mane. Oda doesn't draw backgrounds randomly. That figurehead represents the Thousand Sunny, which was built using wood from the Adam tree. The same legendary tree that was used to build Gol Roger's ship. The same tree that has connections to the Ancient Kingdom. Robin might be explaining to Luffy how his journey parallels Roger's, but also how it's different. Roger learned the truth and laughed. He found the One Piece, but couldn't act on it. He was too early. The world wasn't ready. But Luffy is arriving at the right time. Everything is converging. There's also Zoro in the background of one panel, and he's awake and alert. Usually during these serious conversations, Zoro is sleeping or drinking. But not this time. He's listening too. That suggests whatever Robin is saying affects the entire crew's mission going forward. Nami is checking her log pose in another panel. Frankie is working on the ship. Usopp is organizing supplies. Everyone is preparing for something. The calm before the storm. They know what's coming next, even if we don't. And here's a detail that's easy to miss. In one panel, Brook is looking at his reflection in a window. For those who remember, Brook's shadow was stolen by Moria. He spent 50 years alone. He knows what it's like to lose everything and fight to get it back. His inclusion in this scene suggests themes of death, resurrection, and the cyclical nature of history. The ancient kingdom fell. The will of D survived. Now that will is rising again. But none of this compares to what that final silhouette reveals. Because when we figure out who's approaching the Straw Hats, everything about the final arc is going to make sense. We'll get to that in just a moment. Okay, let's talk about that ending. A mysterious figure approaches the Sunny. Tall, cloaked, carrying what looks like a book. And those eyes. We've seen those eyes before. The popular theory right now is that it's Scopper Gaben, the third member of Roger's crew after Roger and Ray Lee. We've only seen him briefly in flashbacks, but his role in the Roger Pirates was significant. And it would make narrative sense. Luffy met Rayleigh, who trained him in Haki. Meeting Gaban would complete that parallel, but I don't think it's Gaban. Here's why. Look at the build. Gaban was stocky and broad. This figure is tall and lean. The cloak hides most of their features, but body language tells us a lot. This person moves carefully, almost cautiously. Gaban was a brawler. This seems like someone more cerebral. My theory? It's a former member of the Revolutionary Army, someone who left to pursue their own path, someone who has information that even Dragon doesn't have. And I think that book they're carrying is a research log, possibly even Vegapunk's research or research about the Ancient Kingdom. Here's what supports this. The timing. Why show up now, right when the Revolutionary Army is making their move? Because this person knows what's about to happen. They've been waiting for this moment. They have a piece of the puzzle that the Straw Hats need. Second, the eyes. Oda is very deliberate about eye design. These eyes show intelligence and sadness. This is someone who carries heavy knowledge, someone who's seen terrible things. That matches characters connected to the Void Century research. Third, Robin's reaction in the final panel. She's standing up, and her body language shows recognition. Not surprise. Recognition. She's seen this person before, or at least heard of them. That narrows down the possibilities significantly. There's also the meta-narrative element. We're approaching the final saga. Oda needs to start bringing all the plot threads together. Introducing a character who can connect the Revolutionary Army, the Ancient Kingdom, the poneglyphs, and Vegapunk's research makes perfect sense right now. And consider the themes. One Piece is about inherited will. Roger passed his will to Luffy, but what about the will of the Ancient Kingdom? Who carries that? The answer might be standing on the Straw Hat's deck right now. Now let's talk about the subtle details Oda planted throughout this chapter. Because if you know Oda's style, you know he plans things years in advance. First, the title of the chapter. I won't say it exactly because of translation variations, but it references dawn. Oda has been building the dawn metaphor for the entire series. Luffy is the one who will bring the dawn. The Revolutionary Army fights for the dawn of a new world. And now we're seeing actual dawn imagery in the panels. The sun is rising in the background of multiple scenes. That's not coincidence. We're approaching the climax. Second, there's a panel showing a newspaper. The text is too small to read in most translations, but fans with the official release noticed something. The date on the newspaper matches a date mentioned way back during the Ohara flashback. Oda is connecting timelines. He's showing us that events from 20 years ago are coming full circle. Third, the number 3 appears repeatedly. 3 simultaneous attacks, 3 admirals shown reacting, 3 panels focusing on Luffy's changing expression. In numerology and symbolism, 3 represents completion and synthesis. The thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. The 3 stages of the journey, Oda uses numbers deliberately, and 3 appearing this much suggests we're entering a final phase. Fourth, water imagery. Multiple panels show water. Rain, ocean waves, even a character drinking water. Water represents cleansing, truth, and revelation in storytelling. The truth is about to wash over the world. Fifth, and this is subtle, but there's a panel showing clouds breaking, literal clouds in the sky, parting to show sunlight. That's visual metaphor for clarity, for hidden things being revealed. The truth has been clouded for 800 years. Now the clouds are breaking. There's also dialogue structure. Dragon speaks in short, definitive sentences this chapter. No lengthy explanations, no philosophical musings. Just statements of fact and commands. That's the language of someone who's done planning and started acting. The Revolutionary Army isn't preparing anymore. They're executing. And finally, the panel count dedicated to each scene. The Revolutionary Army gets the most panels, but the Straw Hat scene, despite being shorter, has larger panels with more detail. Oda is telling us that while the revolution is the big flashy event, what matters for the story is what the Straw Hats do next. So what does all this mean for where the story is heading? We're clearly building toward a massive convergence event. The Revolutionary Army is moving, the Straw Hats have critical information. The world government is scrambling, and someone with crucial knowledge is about to join the crew or at least share information with them. The final war isn't going to be a simple battle. It's going to be ideological. It's going to be about truth versus lies. The world government has maintained control through information suppression. They erased the void century from history. They hunt anyone who researches the truth. But now multiple forces are working to expose that truth. Dragon isn't trying to defeat the Marines in combat. He's trying to destroy the lie that gives the world government legitimacy. Once the world knows the truth about the ancient kingdom, about the void century, about what really happened 800 years ago, the celestial dragons lose their divine right to rule. The entire power structure collapses. And that's where Luffy comes in. Luffy doesn't care about politics. He doesn't care about governing. But he cares about freedom. If the truth sets people free, then Luffy will fight to make sure that truth comes out. Not because he wants to lead a revolution, but because it's the right thing to do. This also explains why Oda has spent so much time building Luffy's allies. The final conflict isn't going to be Luffy versus the world government. It's going to be the entire world, awakened to the truth, versus the systems of oppression. Luffy will be the catalyst, but the change will be global. There's also the question of the One Piece itself. Roger found it and laughed. He said they were too early. But what if the One Piece isn't treasure? What if it's evidence? What if it's the ultimate proof of what happened during the Void Century? Proof that even the world government can't suppress or destroy. If that's the case, then finding the One Piece and revealing its contents would accomplish exactly what Dragon has been working toward. It would end the world government's reign not through violence, but through truth. And that would be the most One Piece ending possible. Not a dark, bloody war, but liberation through revealed history. The mysterious figure approaching the Straw Hats might have the final piece needed to reach Laugh Tale. Or they might have information about how to survive what comes after. Because revealing the truth and finding the One Piece is only the beginning. What happens when the world learns it's been lied to for centuries? That's the real challenge ahead. This chapter marks a turning point. We're past the setup phase. We're past character introductions and power scaling. We're entering the endgame. Every scene now carries weight. Every detail matters, and Oda is pulling together threads he planted over 20 years ago. The Revolutionary Army is moving. The Straw Hats are preparing. The truth is about to surface, and we're all here watching one of the greatest stories in manga history approach its conclusion. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe to One Piece Uncovered for more chapter analyses and theory videos. And drop a comment below. Who do you think that mysterious figure is? What do you think the Revolutionary Army is really planning? Let's discuss, because here's the real question. When the truth finally comes out, when the world learns what happened during the Void Century, will they be ready for it? Or will it tear everything apart?